The film starts in an icy wasteland. A carriage brings an orc-like creature to a prison. He meets his cellmates, the bard Ejin Darvis and the barbarian Holga Kilgore. The orc attempts to make a pass at Holga, who responds by breaking his knees and smashing his face. The following day, Ejin and Holga are brought before the Absolution Council to state their case for an appeal for their pardon. Ejin begins by telling his backstory to the council to give context for why he and Holga are there. Years ago, he was a member of the Harper's faction, a group of spies that fought against evil. Ejin was married to Zia and had a daughter, Kira. Tragedy struck when a group of red wizards attacked Ejin's home and killed Zia, leaving him a widowed father and turning his back on the Harpers. As he struggled to provide for himself and Kira, he met Holga, who was banished from her tribe for falling in love with an outsider. Despite trying to live honestly, Ejin and Holga resorted to thievery, and Holga became like a surrogate parent to Kira. Ejin and Holga later teamed up with rookie sorcerer Simon Omer and the rogue forge Fitzwilliam to steal from others. Things changed when they met a wizard named Safina. She requested their help to rob Corin's Keep, a Harper stronghold filled with riches. While Ejin refused at first, Forge convinced him when he told Ejin that the keep contains the Tablet of Reawakening, which he realized he can use to bring Zia back to life. The plan went sour when Safina's true intentions were revealed, and she used a time-freezing spell to trap Ejin and Holga. Ejin gave Forge the tablet and asks him to look after Kira, while Simon also managed to get away. Ejin finishes the story as he waits for a council member named Jarnathan to show up. Once he does, Ejin and Holga use Jarnathan to break through the window and fly out. Now free, the two thieves resolve to relocate Forge so that Ejin may reclaim the tablet and get Kira back. They go to a pub and find a flyer that reveals that Forge is now Lord of Neverwinter. The duo travel to Neverwinter, which is preparing for the annual Heisen Games. They reunite with Kira, who is more excited to see Holga than her own father, as she thinks Ejin abandoned her for selfish reason. They all meet with Forge, who used the riches stolen from Corin's Keep to make himself the Lord of Neverwinter. Forge also reveals that he has Safina working with him as his advisor. Ejin then learns that Forge has been telling Kira that he was arrested for stealing riches and not because of the Tablet of Reawakening. When he and Holga attempt to get Forge, Safina uses her magic to trap them. He has the two captured by his guards and set to be imprisoned, but Safina tells the guards to execute them. Holga fights off the guards to allow herself and Ejin to escape once again. They decide that they need to plan a heist to get Kira out of Forge's castle, but they need a team. With the Heisen Games coming up, other lords from other kingdoms will bring their riches together to Forge's vault, where the tablet is, and they can use the riches to pay their team. Ejin and Holga go looking for Simon, who is performing magic tricks for entertainment. He uses the tricks as a diversion while casting a spell to steal the audience's gold and trinkets. The people go after him, so Simon uses the spells he knows to try and escape, nearly getting himself killed until he runs into Ejin and Holga. He is on board with taking down Forge, but he reminds the two that the place will be heavily guarded. Simon then tells them of someone he knows who can help. The three go to find Doric, a young druid that Simon had tried to court, but Doric found him unappealing. They watch as a young woman is set to be executed by having her limbs pulled off by a horse, only the horse turns out to be Doric in disguise. She transforms into her owlbear form and knocks the villains around before freeing the woman. Afterwards, the trio approaches Doric, who does not trust humans because her own family abandoned her for being a tiefling. She gives her own reasoning for wanting to take down Forge, since he had her people imprisoned or killed for questioning his rule, so she wants to fight for the other druids. In her quarters, Safina speaks to her master, the Likshas Tam. He entrusts her with their ultimate plan, which Safina hopes to use Forge in succeeding with their ultimate goal. Afterward, Safina joins Forge as he meets with other lords to discuss plans for the Heisen Games. But Safina detects the presence of Doric, who has shapeshifted into a fly to spy on Forge's meeting. Forge's guards go after her, but she manages to change shape to whatever works for her so she can escape and return to the rest of the team. Doric reports to them that Forge's vault is protected by the arcane seal of Mordenkainen, which Simon does not think he is strong enough to break through, unless he were to possess the Helmet of Disjunction, which is said to have gone missing ages ago. However, Holga says she knows where the helmet may be because her people fought the cult of the dragon, so they may know where it went. The only problem is they're all dead. The group stops at the home of Holga's ex-husband Marleman so that she may collect some items she needs. While Marleman has moved on, he wishes Holga well despite their differences. The team arrives at a graveyard full of bodies that fought in the Evermoors long ago. With Simon's magic, the bodies are only able to stay alive for up to 5 questions asked to them. They have to go through multiple corpses to find out where the Helmet of Disjunction went since many of the warriors died passing it on to one another. The last corpse they speak to tells them that the helmet was passed on to a Thayan named Zenkyendar, who promised to keep it safe. Ejin doesn't trust Thayan since they killed Zia, but Simon and Doric have heard of Zenk's stories as a paladin. and even Holga is able to back up the stories of his heroics. The team shows up to witness some of Zenk's heroics when he rescues a tiger child from a sea creature that swallowed it. They meet with him after to ask him to help take down Forge. He brings them together to explain the history of the Red Wizards. Shaz-Tam planned to raise an undead army by enslaving the people of the land. Zenk ponders as to what Forge would gain if he is working with the Red Wizards. Zenk only agrees to join the team when Ejin agrees to distribute Forge's wealth among the people of Neverwinter. On their way to the helmet, Zenk talks about how he witnessed the unholy power of Shaz-Tam and how it corrupted good people to be slaves to evil, which is why he moved away from the way of the Red Wizards and used his skills for good. Zenk just managed to escape the Red Wizard's spell, which is why he bears a mark on his forehead. He brings the others down a hole called the Orifice where the helmet is located in an underground city. They must cross a chasm, but Simon accidentally triggers a mechanism that causes the bridge to collapse. Luckily, Holga is carrying what she thought was a cane, but Simon finds that it is called a hither-thither staff, which opens portals and allows them to make it safely across the chasm. Once the group reaches the helmet, they are confronted by Thayans. Zenk fights them, but since they are undead, they don't stay down. As they run, they are found by the dragon Thembersho, who chases them after devouring the Thayans. Ejin is nearly eaten until Zenk stabs the dragon in the head. Unfortunately, it doesn't die and traps the heroes in a cavern that begins filling with water. Ejin comes up with a plan for Holga to provoke Thembersho before Simon uses a spell to blast a hole in the cavern and allow them to swim to the surface. After making it to the shore, Zenk bids the others farewell as he returns home. Simon attempts to take control of the helmet, finding himself meeting his ancestor, Elminster Almer, who doubts Simon's capabilities and doesn't allow him to attune with it. Simon keeps trying for hours but continues to get rejected. The team's morale is brought down, and Simon and Doric plan to leave, but Ejin does his best to keep their spirits up. However, he admits to them that it's his fault that Zia died because he stole gold from the Red Wizards, which is why they went after him. With Holga's encouragement, the team comes up with a new plan to break into Forge's vault by using the staff to make their way inside. The team uses a portrait to open one portal as a carriage of Forge's treasures makes its way into Neverwinter for the start of the Heisen Games. While they manage to sneak in, the entrance to the portal gets blocked when the portrait falls face down on the floor. Ejin encourages them to proceed by improvising. Simon uses a brief illusion of Ejin playing a song to distract the guards, but it starts to go wrong when Simon gets his foot stuck. Once inside, Holga fights more guards while Simon tries once more to attune with the helmet. Elminster confronts him again and attempts to reject him once more, but Simon punches him, and this allows him to attune with the helmet. He uses his newfound magic capabilities to help fight the guards. Simon and Holga find the vault, but it is empty, making the team realize Forge moved his riches somewhere else. They, plus Doric, get incapacitated and captured. Ejin is tricked by Salfina posing as Kira. When Forge comes in, he plans to have them all locked up, but Ejin suggests that Forge allow them to compete in the games, to which Salfina agrees but for the possibility that they will die there. When they are put out in the Colosseum, Doric mentions to the team that she saw the guards moving the riches to a boat, meaning that Forge is just trying to steal riches from the others attending the game. The event starts, with the team competing alongside others as they are put through a treacherous maze filled with creatures and traps like the infamous gelatinous cube. While the other players are not very lucky, Doric comes up with a plan to allow her and her friends to teleport out of there. The heroes makes it to the dock where they find the boat with Forge's riches and the riches stolen by him. He brings Kira as he tries to make her think Ejin is going to run away again. But after Ejin explains himself, Forge shows his true colors to Kira by holding a knife to her throat so that the heroes may step back from the riches. Holga throws a potato at his face, causing him to let Kira go. She joins her father and his friends as they hop on the boat and steal the riches, with Simon using a spell to cause a wave of water to hit Forge. Kira forgives Ejin as they reconcile. Just as they are setting sail, the heroes witness a dark cloud forming in the sky as Salfina is setting her plan into motion, which is to use a Thayan horn to enslave all the attendees of the games as part of the Red Wizard army. The team makes their way back to Neverwinter to put a stop to Salfina, while she succeeds in getting the members of the Neverwinter Council. The heroes return, and Simon uses the staff to make a portal from the boat to the hot air balloon, causing all the riches from the boat to spill out into the streets and causing the people to run out of the Colosseum, foiling Salfina's plan. The Red Wizard catches the heroes and battles them, using her spell to get a large stone dragon to attack them. While she uses other traps and trick, the team bombards Salfina with attacks before she seems to stop them using the same time freezing spell she used against them before. She gloats about her victory until it turns out she was the one tricked, because Kira used a medallion that causes her to become invisible so that they can strap a magic suppressing cuff on her as Simon countered her spell. Doric turns into her owlbear form to thrash Salfina around before hurling her into a wall that crumbles and finally crushes her. While the team celebrates their victory, they find that Holga was mortally wounded in the fight and she dies. Kira weeps over, and Ejin realizes Holga was the closest thing Kira had to a mom growing up, so he decides to use the Tablet of Reawakening to revive Holga. The team joins the citizens to celebrate the end of the games and their forming of a new family. Meanwhile, Forge tries to run for it but is captured by Zinc. Later on, Lord Neverember reawakens since Safina is gone, and he awards the heroes medals for saving Neverwinter. Forge is imprisoned and tries to make an appeal for his pardon by telling his own tragic backstory, but the council doesn't care for it. He finds Jarnathan and attempts to fly out again, but the council made sure to move the meeting to a room with no windows, so Forge just charges into a wall. Midway through the credits, the last corpse that the team left alive asks for anyone to ask him questions so he can go back to being dead.